Ah, hello there. Come on in. Come on, one and all. It is truly a glorious day today. Do you know why today is truly glorious? Well, I will tell you in case you do not own a calendar. Today is September the 1st. Is there not a more glorious day on the calendar than September the 1st? The day where you can finally start decorating for Halloween and it's really not that weird. Because, you know, you start decorating in August, and then it's really out there, and it's like, hey, man, Halloween's for like 3 more months. And it's like, hey, I don't want to start decorating in just October. I actually had somebody yesterday tell me that, like, it's not even October yet. What are you doing decorating for Halloween? It's like, you're not giving me just 1 month to have Halloween decorations up. What, 1 month, and then after that, you got to start putting up Christmas decorations? Oh, no. You got to give me at least 2 months for this, you know? Barry's been prepping for this for the last 6 months. He's been a vampire. Yeah, I got this fancy new cloak and this cool hat. I want to see everybody decorating for Halloween now. I want to see some foam cemetery headstones in people's yards. I want to see large skeletons that make Brooke blush. I want to see some Halloween decorations, okay? But today, yeah, let's discuss One Piece. Should I just do the whole video like this? I feel like I could, but I'm not going to. All right, so in the last chapter of One Piece, there was a scene, probably like the most focused on scene in the chapter in terms of the way that like Oda drew it at any rate. It was a scene between Kizaru and Akainu, all right? And it adds a nice little like bookend to Kizaru's character throughout all of Egghead, right? So to recap really quickly, Kizaru was given the mission to go to Egghead and murder his best friend Vegapunk. I guess there was nobody else available for that. I guess Kizaru, given the fact that he was very familiar with Egghead, was like, hey, Kizaru Borsalino, you gotta go to Egghead, you gotta eliminate Vegapunk. You know, Aramaki is busy, you know, in Wano, and then pissing his pants when Shanks showed up, and then dealing with Weevil, and Fujitora is somewhere. We don't know what Fujitora's been actually up to for a while now. He was at Reverie, but that was a while ago, right? So, yeah, they sent Kizaru to be like, you gotta eliminate Vegapunk. And Kizaru, he didn't really want to do it, but, you know, he's been in the Marines for a long time now. He's been in the Marines for like 30-something years, and he's like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna do that. By the way, you know, Kizaru is like Mr. Unclear Justice guy, right? And he's always seemed like kind of just like lackadaisical and rather blasé about a lot of things. He's just chilling out and just, you know, smoking his weed or whatever. You know, you really have a whole new perspective on that now after the events of Egghead, where it's like maybe he was just like so mentally drained from the decades of working for the Marines. Like, Kizaru probably knew a lot more, like, than he let on, and he's just, like, realized that just, like, wow, yeah, I kind of work for a monstrous, like, corrupted organization. I'm not saying that Kizaru knew about Eam or, like, the true form of the Gorosei. I mean, that's kind of debatable, but, like, definitely didn't know about Eam, but the Gorosei, like, how much did the admirals know about that? You know, who knows, really, who could say? Kizaru didn't really seem to have a huge response to that, like when Saturn was all, like, Spider God and everything like that. You think at that point Kizaru would have looked at him and been like, oh, the rulers of the world are yokai monsters that are like immortals. That, you know, you'd think that that would change a little bit of the paradigm of like, should I be working for the Marines? Should I be working for the world government? I don't know. Immortal gods, that's throwing a wrench in the works that I didn't know existed, right? Now, he seemed to take that relatively well, as just kind of like he knew about it, so maybe he did. Maybe the admirals maybe knew. But at any rate, no, it's just after years of being in the Marines, he was just like, all right, then, I guess I'm just going to do what I have to do. I mean, I signed up for the Marines to fight pirates and bring justice to the world, and maybe Kizaru justifies it by saying that, like, you know, it's a lesser of two evils. Like, yeah, the government does a lot of messed up things, but, you know, pirates do more messed up things. You know, we can't just let pirates run the world, so, you know, the world government's been doing it for the last 800 years. Is it a perfect system? No, but well, just got to keep doing it. So, you know, that's a whole other, like, perspective looking at Kizaru, because, like, if you go back and look at Sabaody, you know, he's a monster at a lot of points there, where he just, like, obliterates that tree, and then just have that moment where he's just, like, walking away, just like the Terminator or some shit, and it's like, whoa, okay. Like, yeah, you don't really know what this guy's doing half the time, but he gets his job done, I'll tell you that much, if nothing else, right? So he goes to Egghead, he encounters Luffy fights him in Gear 5th for a while, knocks him around a little bit. Vegapunk comes down to the lower part, to the Fabrio phase. Saturn is there as well. Kizaru was tasked with bodyguarding Saturn. But then things go south pretty quickly. I mean, you have Luffy going into Gear 5th. You have Saturn on the island scuttling about. You have the whole thing with Kuma. You have the whole thing with Bonnie. And eventually Kizaru does end up stabbing Vegapunk through the back with his lightsaber, and that being the decisive blow that, kills him, all right? And so Kizaru, even in the last chapter, was remembering, the flashback, the first time he met Vegapunk. He was sent to go arrest Vegapunk with the whole Mads situation. So Vegapunk originally was the head of Mads, and you also had Judge and Queen, and who's the other one? Buckingham Stussy was there as well. Caesar was there as well. And that operation was headed up by, or financed by, Dufeld, and then that was eventually busted by the world government. Kizaru went and been like, I'm here to arrest you, scientists, right? And Vegapunk was, giving him the business right away. He's like, Quasar. This was Vegapunk back in his 30s. This is back when Vegapunk had that piss and vinegar in him, right? And he was just like, hey, I know you're arresting, a great scientist, Vegapunk like myself, just to go work for the government. So how much are you going to pay me? How much is in the research budget? And Kizaru's like, oh, what? I don't know. So he's remembering all this stuff, and, Vegapunk helping him, Vegapunk making Kizaru help, build all of Egghead and stuff, and, lug girders around and everything like that. And then the flashback is kind of going nice, and then it shifts to him stabbing Vegapunk in the back, and it's just reflected in his glasses of just oh no, I didn't want to do this, right? This is not what I signed up for, right? And so then you had this moment in the last chapter that was really honestly pretty powerful. All of the other Marines are knocked out. The only people that are still conscious on Egghead that are enemies would be Kizaru and would be Saturn. Although I don't even know where Kizaru's character's going at this point. Oda has a really good opportunity here to pivot Kizaru in a direction. People have been saying, oh, what if Kizaru decides just to pack up and join the revolutionaries? So not doing the exact same thing as Kuzan did, where after Kuzan was defeated by Akainu, Kuzan left and he was just kind of dejected about the whole thing, right? He was just kind of like, you know what, I don't need the Marines, I don't need anything, I'm just gonna go wander the world with a giant penguin and find my purpose. But, Kizaru might not do that. He might not just wander aimlessly. If he's going to quit, he might have a purpose. Especially since we know that Punk Records is where Vegapunk's brain is, so he's technically still alive, and Lilith is still alive too, right? So it might be feasible that Kizaru might learn about that, and he might be like, I don't know, I'm picturing a scene between Kizaru and Punk Records, and Punk Records, telling Kizaru, Kizaru, Quasar, it's not too late. Go to Dragon and help him. You can help change the world. You can still do it. You can fight for the right side, Kizaru. And Kizaru's like, there's a giant brain talking to me. How high am I right now? Oh no, this is actually happening. Okay, that would be actually really cool. And from what we saw in the last chapter, it's feasible. Kizaru is really distraught right now, more distraught than we've ever seen the man, right? So he's one of the only people still conscious. I don't think he was knocked out by the hockey nuke, I guess, because everybody else was knocked out for several hours. Maybe you could say Kizaru was knocked out for a few moments and he came right back. But I don't think he was knocked out at all from the hockey nuke. But he was, laying there just, after he was punched out by Luffy. He could have still gotten up. Luffy didn't wreck his shit so bad that Kizaru couldn't even move. It's just, he definitely could have gotten back up and done some stuff, but he was like, you know what, just leave me here. I don't even want to. Then the hockey nuke goes off, and it's like, all right, I guess I should probably get up. And he gets up. Everybody's knocked out. Even the vice admirals are knocked out. The Den Den Mushi's ringing. He goes and picks it up, and it's Akainu, right? Now, I want you to understand the context of this, all right? Akainu and Kizaru are, the two closest things to, best friends probably in the entire Marines. All right, when it comes to Marine admirals, right? Kuzan would have been part of that trio as well, but he defected, and you feel like Akainu is hiding it, but he is upset that Kuzan defected. They were friends, right? They weren't just bitter rivals and they hated each other, okay? They were all admirals, Kuzan, Borsalino, and Sakazuki for a long time in the Marines, and they all joined around the same time. Kizaru's a little older than Akainu and Kuzan. He's the oldest out of the original three. But, they they had something there. They had like a brotherly bond kind of thing, right? Okay. So Kuzan defects. You get Fujitora and Aramaki joining in. Sakazuki gets promoted to Fleet Admiral, right? And yeah, it seems like Sakazuki and Fujitora knew each other beforehand, so they might have had like a bit of a friendship, maybe exchanged some sake cups every now and then. But Fujitora's been doing a lot of things to piss off Akainu as of late, so their morality is very different. Okay, so it's kind of a situation of just like, hey, I guess we're kind of friends, but your sense of morality is completely different than mine, and the direction you want to take this organization is completely different, so we're not going to get super, super close, And then you have Aramaki, who's just looking up to Akainu as like his role model and like god figure, kind of, and just like, man, I really respect Akainu. I want to be just like this guy, which Akainu might be like, oh, that's great, but, dial it down a little bit, when somebody's like going up to you and being like, man, I want to be just like you, you're incredible, like Akainu might even be a little bit like self-conscious about that, like, oh, you don't want to be exactly like me, man, trust me, I've had a long life. We still don't know about Akainu's backstory, but we're probably going to find out about the Admiral's backstories pretty soon. In fact, I think this was like the first hint at it, right? So they're on the phone call, and Akainu is just initially, because he has no idea, so he's just doing like, report, Marines, what's going on over there? I want a full report. He's like, nothing left out. And then Kizaru's the one answering and just like, hey, man, could you calm down? I know you like to yell, but this isn't really the mood of the way things are right now. The vibe here has certainly changed as Kizaru looks around at all the knocked out Marines and the powered down Iron Giant looming over in the island that is currently on fire. The place where he murdered Vegapunk. So yeah, Kizaru's like, yeah, the vibe's definitely different here. When the other Marines wake up, everyone's knocked out flat. When they wake up, I'll have them write up a report for you. Don't worry, you'll have it on the books and all that stuff, right? And that's when Akainu kind of is just like, hey, Kizaru, you're not slacking off again, are you? It's that situation where, like, I don't know if anybody's ever had a situation like this where it's like, hey, I'm going to call up a friend and just chat with them, because it's just like, hey, I'm just going to goof around. It's like, hey, buddy, how the hell are you doing? Anything crazy going on today? And then you find out that, like, you called at, like, the worst possible time. And then the other's like, my grandmother just died 10 minutes ago. It's like, that never happened to me. But, like, it probably happened to somebody somewhere out there. It's just like, oh, I'm going to call up my buddy Bill. Hey, Bill, how the hell are you? You want to go out drinking tonight? My dad just had a heart attack. It's like, oh, God, I did not know. I had no context for this. I am so sorry. Yeah. Shit, like, what do you even do at that point, right? Like, yeah, kind of the same thing like with this, right? Kainu calls him up, like, I want a full report, by the books, what's going on over there? Kizaru, you better not be slacking off on the job like I know you do sometimes. Kizaru just doesn't even know how to, like, he's just, any pretense of you being my superior, like any pretense of Sakazuki being Fleet Admiral, Kizaru being Admiral, any pretense of them being in the Marines and having a hierarchical structure and chain of command went out the fucking window at that point. Because Kizaru's not, he can't. He's been pushing down these emotions for the last few hours of all the crap that's been going on at Egghead, and he just snaps. And he's just like, hey, Sakazuki, have you ever had to murder your own best friend? And then, like, Sakazuki has a moment where he's like barking orders. He does, like, hey, I'm Sakazuki. Get those pictures of Spider-Man to me on my desk pronto. But Kizaru's like, hey, you ever had to kill your best friend, Sakazuki? Sakazuki has a moment where he's like, oh, okay. Oh, boy. All right. Yeah, I'm definitely noticing the vibe shift. Okay. And he doesn't say anything in response to that. And that's also probably maybe a little limited to how much the admirals know about each other's backstories. They probably don't. Kainu doesn't strike me as a man that's going to talk about his backstory very often, even to people he's closest with. Like, even if, like, Borsalino and Sakazuki at some point were sitting down and having a drink together, at the end of a day back when they were admirals, I don't see Sakazuki sitting there and talking about his sad crybaby backstory about his parents were probably killed by pirates or something, right? So I don't think Sakazuki had to murder his best friend. But there is a case where he got very close when he fought Kuzan. Probably the closest thing that he had to that. I mean, Kuzan did not die, but still, Kuzan was a good friend to Sakazuki, and he ripped a leg off of him and gave him scars all over him, right? So there's some parallel there. And even though it might not have been best friend, there's probably somebody that has died in Sakazuki's past. Maybe it was because of Sakazuki. Maybe it was like he joined the Marines and he had a friend, and the friend was like, I think the Marines are kind of jacked up here, Sakazuki. I'm going to leave. I'm going to defect. And Sakazuki's like, no, you won't. And he had to like murder like somebody that he knew, maybe not a best friend, but like an officer that was like lower, or something like that. Like, remember that scene at Marineford, actually, where there was a Marine that was just running away from Marineford. He's like, screw this. I have a family. I have kids. I don't want to die here. And Sakazuki literally leaves his post as an admiral and goes into the town and stops this random foot soldier Marine, like not even an officer, just like, I don't know, he's just like seaman apprentice or some shit. He's just like, I'm getting out of here, I'm not dying. And then Sakazuki's just like, you're running away from the battlefield, soldier. You turn your ass around and you go back right now. And he's like, please, Admiral Kakainu, I don't want to die, I just had a baby. He's like, well, turn around then and fight and then survive to see your family. Your family would be so ashamed of you running away right now. He's like, I don't want to go back. There was a giant Whitebeard's over there and he has earthquake powers. I don't have any powers. I don't know hockey. I can't even do the shave step thing yet. I'm just a guy. There's people over me. Hawk sliced a damn iceberg in half. Like, what am I supposed to do here? Well, die then. No! It's just like, dude, that really does suck to be a Marine soldier at Marineford. All this crazy MCU shit's going on, and all you have is a rifle. You have a standard issue rifle, maybe a cutlass. That's it. That's what you got to work with. That's your superpower. I don't blame that guy in the slightest, right? Okay. Anyway, yeah. So maybe like, that was obviously not the first time Akainu has had to do that, has had to murder somebody that is running away from a battle. So I ask, what was the first time? What was the first time he had to do that? There's probably a moment that he had to do that, and it hardened him pretty damn bad, right? So there's definitely something in Kainu's past there. But, he doesn't respond to Kizaru right away. And Kizaru just, he flashes back through everything, all the things they had with, Vegapunk and all that stuff, all their connections. And then he's like, if you got enough time to waste doubting me, then come down here and see this place with your own eyes, you little shit. And then Akainu immediately is like, I'm sorry, brother. Sorry about that. And he's like, yeah, well, just shut up and learn your place. He's like, okay, yeah, I get it. It's fine. Like, once again, chain of command out the window. That is something that Sakazuki could literally, like, court-martial Kizaru for. Like mouthing off to your superior officer, calling him a little shit to his face. By the way, Artur actually, so in the one version that I reviewed, it was like little ingrate or something like that, right? That was like one version. It is little shit. The way they actually, the closest approximation from Japanese to English is that Kizaru called Akainu a little shit because he is younger than him. Kizaru is the oldest out of the admirals. So, yeah, that is the actual translation. And so he says that to his face, and Sakazuki, he's always this really angry, just like, what did you just say to me, soldier? Kind of thing. But at that moment, he reads the room pretty well, and he understands this is one of his friends telling him this. This is not some random soldier that was caught mouthing off to him behind the scenes or something like that, right? This isn't even like an officer or a vice admiral. This is an admiral, and more importantly, one of, if not your probably closest friend in the entire Marines right now that's telling you, hey, shut up. You don't know shit about what's going on down here right now, all right? So either come down here and see it firsthand, and then maybe we can have a conversation, but I don't want to hear any crap over the freaking Den Mushi from you, And Akainu reads that immediately, and he's just like, all right, I'm sorry, brother. He uses the word kyodai. It's like, they're not actual blood brothers, like, obviously. Oh, they could be blood brothers. They could be just like, they fought in wars together. They were soldiers together, They were trained up together. They went to boot camp together, most likely, right? So, there's something there, but they're not blood related, is what I'm saying, right? So, do you think Akainu is actually going to come to Egghead? I mean, like, I guess he would have to get, like, permission, you know, because last time we saw him, he was at Marijois, and he does take orders from the higher-ups. So I don't know if he could just go there. But, you know, considering all the stuff that happened, maybe the Fleet Admiral going to that location might not be necessarily a bad idea. Then again, Fleet Admiral has so many other duties, so I don't think he's going to Egghead. I think he's just going to stay at Marijois and wait for Kizaru to come back. And, oh, man, how do you even, like... Is Kizaru gonna, like, come back and just, like, that's gonna be very cold when they see each other, you know? Maybe Akainu's gonna bake him a cake. Akainu bakes him, like, is like, he, like, hangs up on the phone call, and he's like, okay, Akainu's secretary comes in, he's just like, Mr. Sakazuki, is everything okay? Yeah, everything's good, hey, do you know how to make a cake? I have never done anything nice for any human being ever. I don't know how to make a cake. It's like, I guess I can kind of make a carrot cake. In fact, you know, my mom taught me this really nice recipe. That's great. That's great. We're going to do that. You make a cake. I'll say I made it. Put I'm sorry Kizaru on it. No, I'm sorry Borsalino. And we'll present him with a cake when he comes back, right? That's how it goes, right? Dude, yeah. But I think that's what Oda was really gearing up for here. Like beginning to see the admirals from a different perspective, even the cold, callous, stone, magma, obsidian wall that is Sakazuki. All right? Like, we're going to learn some stuff about this here. We're going to learn, maybe Hibari really is his daughter, and we're going to learn about what happened with his wife, and he had a family and stuff. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I just thought of something. Holy shit. Okay. You know how, like, in the One Piece movies, the main villains are usually just a one-to-one for the villains in the actual manga. Like, Bullet from Stampede was basically a diet caffeine-free version of Kaido, right? Guild to Zoro was like maybe diet Doflamingo. I wouldn't say caffeine-free diet, but just diet Doflamingo. Guild to Zoro actually had a lot of stuff going for him. I want to make a video about Guild to Zoro, actually. But what if if Z is not going to be in the manga, which he's never been referenced in the manga yet. It's not like a situation like with Uta where we've seen her silhouette, or like Shiki, you know, where Shiki's obviously, you know, he was part of Rox's crew. He fought Roger, right? So, you know, we know Shiki is canon. What if Zephyr and his backstory is basically just going to be Sakazuki's backstory? You know, because Zephyr had, like, a family, he had a wife, he had kids, and then they were killed, and then he was all jaded, and, you know, like, that might be the parallel to Akainu. Maybe. We'll put a bookmark in that, we'll get back to it. But as for Kizaru, getting back to him, and he doesn't seem to be, he's crying, he's bawling his eyes out, you know, he's not taking off his shades, but you can see the tears coming down of his eyes, he got the snot in his nose, he's just screaming at Sakazuki here, right? And then he hangs up after all of that. And what do you do? Like, what do you do at this point? Like, Kizaru, I can imagine just looking around the battleship he's on and being like, I'm done with this. You know, I am so done with this, right? Now, Saturn is also on the island too, but he's like, he was facing off against Emeth. You know, Emeth is powered down now, so maybe Saturn is like, what should we do here? Like, you know, Saturn might give an order to be like, hey, who else is not dead? Oh, Kizaru, you're still conscious. All right, help me destroy this giant piece of scrap metal. Use your light powers and just bombard it. Just completely just carpet bomb the shit out of this thing, right? And Kizaru just might be like, nope, not doing it. Saturn's like, that was a direct order. I am one of the Gorosei. You are going to do what I order you to do. You're also going to get all this shit back up in ship shape, and we're going to go back to Marijois as soon as possible. Kizaru's like, not doing it. Not doing it. I'm done. I quit. Now, couple things to keep in mind here. A lot of Kizaru's subordinates are still on that island. They're all unconscious. Even the vice admirals are, right? Now, Kizaru might look at Saturn and be like, you know, you're a monster. I'm not listening to you anymore. That makes sense. I could see that. Saturn, though, is the monster that will be like, all right. You leave. I murder everybody here. I kill all these vice admirals. They're all unconscious. I could kill them easily. I could dissolve them with my poison. I'll figure out a way to get back to Marijois somehow. I have creepy eldritch magic. I could figure out some way to get back. I don't need you. The world government never really needed the Marines. He's like, we don't want to get our own, we're busy. We want to, we're living at the top, we want to do our own shit. He's like, we have like EAM and everything like that. We have all that kind of crap going on. The Marines were just basically like pawns on a chessboard, right? We'll figure it out. Even if you all died here, we'll just recruit more of you. You're a dime a dozen. It might be something like that. So what if Saturn is the type of monster that's threatening all the Marines? I'm going to kill Dahl and Pomsky and everything if you defect. So Kizaru might have no choice. He might be like, oh, son of a bitch. He might have to listen to Saturn and still get everybody back up and back on the ship and then travel back to Marijois and everything, destroy the Iron Giant, at least attempt to. I'm not even sure if Kizaru, even Kizaru full power lightsaber laser beams might be able to destroy Emeth, because he's a pretty sturdy kind of guy, right? But the Gorosei were able to damage him. They were able to blast off parts of his arms and stuff like that. So maybe if Saturn goes back into his spider form and spews poison, it might dissolve Emeth. It might be possible. But yeah, the Gorosei are very conceited and very lordly and everything, so they don't want to do a lot of stuff on their own. So I could see Saturn being like, prepare the ship, we're returning to the Holy Land. And Kizaru's like, no. So if Kizaru does defect, though, let's just say he's like, nope, I'm done, and then zips away at light speed. Pshoop! That's one thing. Saturn's not going to be able to follow him. He could kill the other Marines, but he's not going to be able to follow Kizaru, right? He's like, shit. That's the one ability that it's like light speed. I'm not going to be able to match that, right? There's summoning techniques, but I don't think they could do that for a while after the hockey nuke and everything, right? So if Kizaru just leaves, he doesn't go back to the Marines. I don't see him going to, dude, probably not going to happen. What if he did show up to, Elbaf, though? What if the Straw Hats and the Giants are all partying, yeah, we did it, we beat him! Hey, Luffy, we saw you punch Kizaru in the face, that was badass, he didn't have a chance! Straw Hat is stronger than the Admirals! And then Kizaru just yo, what's going on here? Ah! It's just no, don't worry about it, I'm just, look, I know I've had, We've tried to kill each other before, you know how it goes, I'm an admiral, but I'm not an admiral anymore. I just want to pay my respects to Vegapunk's body. Can I at least see the guy? And then Lilith shows up and be I imagine Lilith walks out she's just brushing her teeth or eating grapes or something and just pay respects to my body. What? What is this? I'm oh, Kizaru! Just huh? And then it's a whole thing there where Lilith explains to Kizaru oh yeah, no, the Stella is dead, but not really because the brain is still alive, so whatever, and I'm not saying Kizaru pal around with the Straw Hats for very long, but he shows up to pay respects for Vegapunk's body, finds out Vegapunk is technically still alive in some form at least, and then he's oh, all right, well, so his brain's still alive. He's yeah, but the government has that now. And so maybe Kizaru has to become maybe he has to become the protector, the undercover agent. Immediately after this call with Akainu, he zips away and nobody knows where he goes. And he goes to the Elbaf ship and everything. And then he zips back and he's yeah, sorry, Saturn. I needed to clear my head for a moment there. All right, anyway, what are we doing? And then, Kizaru could be the one to protect Punk Records or something, to make sure everything's going okay, the government doesn't destroy it or something, right? But I'll tell you what, if Kizaru just continues to be, a normal Marine, just file and rank soldier after this, of just well, that happened at Egghead, I killed Vegapunk. It was very emotional. Oh, well, what am I doing next? Go here and, wipe out these pirates. Okay, signed up for the job, I guess that's what I have to do. I don't think we're going to do that with Kizaru. I think we're going to move on with Kizaru. We're going to have a different development in Kizaru's character, whether it be he defects or he's working undercover for something else, like the revolutionaries or something, or, Vegapunk contacts him somehow. Sakazuki as well, also Kuzan. We got a flashback with Kuzan, so we're learning a lot more about the admirals here, at least the original three. I mean, we'll learn about Fujitora and Aramaki's messed up backstories, I'm sure, at some point, but for right now, focus on these three admirals because there's only a certain number of really strong characters left in the story, right, that are challenging the Straw Hats, so I would like to learn more about them, right? Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed, and now go enjoy your September 1st. and begin the preparations for All Hallows Even. You go to the end screen now. Bye.